Constitutional Republicans Academia present Civics in Spoonfuls, Lesson 1. What good is a government of the people, for the people, and by the people if the people themselves have no idea what civic rights as citizens they are entitled, or what their role as citizens entails? A civil society must be an educated society. What are civics? Ultimately, civics means knowing your natural rights and how to be a good citizen. Being a good citizen requires knowing the fundamentals of government, understanding the citizen's ownership of government, citizens being proactive in making informative and knowledgeable decisions in voting for representatives, and learning the limitations placed on government dedicated to solely protecting the individual citizen's natural rights. Margaret Thatcher once said, quote, "European nations were made by history. The United States was made by philosophy. Unique among all nations, the United States knows precisely when and exactly why it was founded." Unquote. Yet, a 2016 survey by the Annenberg Public Policy Center found that only 1 in 4 Americans can name all 3 branches of government, and 70% do not know that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. The National Assessment of Educational Progress found that 3/4 of 8th graders were unable to demonstrate a proficient understanding of citizenship or the Constitution. George Washington said, quote, "A primary objective should be the education of our youth in the science of government. In a republic, what species of knowledge can be equally important? And what duty more pressing than communicating it to those who are to be the future guardians of the liberties of the country?" Unquote. Justice Sandra Day O'Connor said, quote, "Knowledge of our system of governance and our rights and responsibilities as citizens is not passed along through the gene pool. Each generation of Americans must be taught these basics." Unquote. James Madison said in 1788 that, quote, "A popular government without popular information or the means of acquiring it is but a prologue to farce or tragedy or perhaps both. Knowledge will forever govern ignorance, and a people who mean to be their own governors must arm themselves with the power knowledge gives." Unquote. Thomas Jefferson said in 1820, quote, "I know of no safe depository of the ultimate powers of the society but the people themselves, and if we think them not enlightened enough to exercise their control with a wholesome discretion, the remedy is not to take it from them, but to inform their discretion." Unquote. George Mason said in 1776, quote, "No free government nor the blessings of liberty can be preserved to any people but by a frequent recurrence to fundamental principles." Unquote. The fundamental principles which constitute the foundation of a civic education have been severely marginalized, tainted, and all but removed from our public school systems, college and university curriculums. The first step we should consider in what the study of civics is what Charles Evans Hughes, former Republican presidential candidate and the 11th Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, said, quote, "The first lesson in civics is that efficient government begins at home." Unquote. Parents, as the primary educators of their children, need to understand civics and why they are important to impart to their children. Noah Webster, in his quote, "On the Education of American Youth," unquote, in 1788 said, quote, "But every child in America should be acquainted with his own country. He should read books that furnish him with ideas that will be useful to him in life and practice. As soon as he opens his lips, he should rehearse the history of his own country." Unquote. Our New Jersey Constitutional Republicans Civics in Spoonfuls series will help to provide a knowledge of civics, being an understanding of our rights and our duties in being good citizens, and why civic education is our duty in preserving our natural rights and for future posterity. NJCR will provide you with information and content to share with your family and friends to establish, once again, a government of the people, for the people, and by the people, as Abraham Lincoln articulated in his understanding of our democratic constitutional republic. My name is J.R. Carmen of the New Jersey Constitutional Republicans.